Hello everyone, welcome to the 17-Mile Story Collection. Today we'll dive into the immortal Cultivation Diary of the young Zhao Sr. Now listen to this story, folks. Inside the grand hall of the Penglai Pavilion, a heated argument was breaking out, all because of one mortal boy's life or death. One elder with a red face snapped, "Elderly, are we really going to lower ourselves this much? Breaking tradition just for a mortal." Elderly opened his eyes, his tone icy. "Elder Nyo, the sect master has left this matter in our hands. If we mishandle it, and that boy kills himself again, his parents will spread the word that we forced him to death. That kind of shame, can you take responsibility? If you can, then I'll step aside." The tension was thick when a middle-aged elder quickly tried to ease things. "Enough fighting. It's just a small matter. My suggestion is simple. Let's take him in as a registered disciple. 10 years from now, if he still can't cultivate, we'll just send him back. That way, no future trouble. Isn't that perfect?" But another elder in a brocade robe raised a sharp question. "And what if other rejected children start copying this? What then?" The middle-aged elder chuckled. "Easy fix. From now on, every child who fails the test will give them a little spiritual guidance, plant the thought that life is precious, and stop them from seeking death. As for this boy, Zhao's son, things have already gone this far, so let's just take him. One registered disciple won't affect the sect at all." The others exchanged meaningful glances and fell silent. The middle-aged elder kept smiling on the outside, but in his heart he was thinking, "Zhao's son, I've done all I can for you. And that fine piece of iron your third and gave me, I won't be polite about keeping it. But I do wonder, how did a mortal family get their hands on such a rare material?" What he didn't know was that Zhao Sen's third aunt had stumbled upon that piece of iron in a blacksmith's shop. With her sharp eyes, she recognized it as something extraordinary. To help Gooden join the sect, she decided to gamble and offer it up without even knowing its true value. And just like that, a single piece of iron changed Zhao Sen's fate. When he later heard the news that he had been accepted as a registered disciple, he couldn't believe it himself. Was this just dumb luck or destiny? 2 days later, Zhao's son personally escorted his parents down the mountain from Penglai Pavilion. Seeing the joy and pride on their faces, his own heart was filled with happiness. Deep down, he made a vow. "No matter what, I will cultivate diligently here." But that determination didn't last long. As soon as his parents were gone, Zhao's son was summoned to a house where registered disciples were assigned their chores. Waiting for him was a shifty-looking young man in yellow robes. With disdain in his eyes, the man sized him up and sneered. "So you're the one who got in by threatening to kill yourself? Zhao's son, right?" Zhao's son stayed silent, only glancing at him. The yellow-robed youth raised an eyebrow and smirked coldly. "Listen up, kid. Starting tomorrow, you report here at sunrise every day. Your job is hauling water. Fail to fill 10 vats in a day, no food for you. Fail for 7 days straight, and I'll report you to the elders. You'll be kicked out of Penglai Pavilion. Here's your uniform. Remember, registered disciples wear gray. Only real disciples get colors." With that, he tossed a set of gray clothes and a waist token onto the floor, then closed his eyes as if Zhao's son no longer existed. Zhao's son quietly picked up the clothes and asked, "Where do I live?" The youth didn't even open his eyes. "Head north. You'll see a row of plain houses. Show your token there, and they'll assign you a room." Zhao's son committed the directions to memory and left. Once he was gone, the yellow-robed youth opened his eyes again, snorting with contempt. "A brat who joined by suicide? What trash! He won't last long." As Zhao's son walked through the sect grounds, he noticed that almost everyone was dressed in gray. Their faces were cold, their pace hurried. Some carried tools, their expressions weary. In that moment, Zhao's son realized the path of cultivation was nothing like what he had imagined. Zhao's son walked north for a long while until he finally came across a row of low, simple houses. Here, there were far more disciples in gray robes than anywhere else, yet each one kept to themselves, busy with their own tasks, rarely exchanging a word. He handed his waist token to the yellow-robed disciple in charge. The man didn't say a single word, just pointed impatiently toward a hut. Zhao's son had already grown used to such cold indifference. He pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room was small, 2 wooden beds, 1 table. Clean and tidy, no different from his home back in the village. Choosing the unused bed, Zhao Sun placed down his belongings and lay back, his thoughts churning. He had finally entered Penglai Pavilion, but it was nothing like the cultivation path he had imagined. Instead of learning immortal arts, his first duty was hauling water like a servant. With a sigh, he reached inside his clothes, touching the stone bead tied to his chest. That bead was his greatest treasure. Zhao Sun was well-read. He knew the old saying, a man without sin, yet guilty for holding treasure. He made a firm decision. No one must ever learn about this bead. Not long after night fell, the door creaked open, and a frail, weary-looking boy in gray entered. He froze for a moment when he saw Zhao Sun, gave him a quick once-over, then said nothing. He simply collapsed onto the other bed, and was asleep within moments. That night, Zhao Sun lay awake, restless. Deep down, he was beginning to realize the road of cultivation here in Penglai Pavilion was nothing like the glorious dream his parents believed. Zhao Sun didn't really care. He knew he had to get up early the next day. So he patted his stomach, pulled out a few sweet potatoes from his bundle. Those were from his parents, originally meant for the road. But once they found him, and saw he'd been taken into Penglai Pavilion, they gave him all the leftovers. The sweet potatoes were nice and sweet. Zhao Sun was enjoying a few bites when the boy across from him suddenly stirred. He sat up, eyes locked on the food, Adam's apple bobbing as he swallowed hard. "Hey, mind giving me a piece?" he whispered. Zhao Sun chuckled, grabbed a few pieces, and tossed them onto the boy's bed. "I've got plenty. If you like it, eat more." The boy didn't hesitate. He grabbed them, devoured them like a starving wolf, then rushed over to the table, gulped down a full cup of water, and sighed in relief. "Damn. I haven't eaten in 2 days. Thanks, man. By the way, what's your name?" Zhao Sun told him. The moment the boy heard it, he froze, eyes wide. You're Zhao Sun? The one who got into Penglai Pavilion by suicide." He cut himself off, realizing how harsh that sounded, then let out an awkward laugh. "Name's Li Xiang. Honestly, almost everyone in the sect has heard of you. Don't take it the wrong way. To be honest, I actually admire you. Took guts to pull that off." Zhao Sun just gave a bitter smile, didn't explain, and handed him a few more sweet potatoes. Li Xiang quickly accepted, chewing while muttering with embarrassment. "Bro, you better keep some for yourself. You're new here, so you don't know yet. That weasel in the chores department is nasty as hell. Tomorrow, once you start working, you'll see. He doesn't even treat us registered disciples like people." Weasel. Zhao Sun froze. The first face that came to mind was that yellow-robed youth who mocked him earlier. It fit the nickname perfectly. But deep down, he wasn't sure if that's who Li Xiang meant. Li Xiang took a sip of water, grinding his teeth, as he explained. "What, you didn't see him? He's the one in charge of assigning chores to us registered disciples. Technically, he's one of us too, but he's already qualified to practice immortal techniques. Wears yellow robes, looks shady as hell, like a damn wolf cub. We all call him the weasel behind his back." Zhao Sen's chest tightened. He bit into a sweet potato and said quietly, "I know who you're talking about. I met him today. He told me, starting tomorrow, I have to carry 10 vats of water every day. If I don't, no food." Li Xiang's jaw dropped. He stared at Zhao Sun for a long while before asking cautiously, "Bro, did you offend him before or something?" Zhao Sun shook his head. "No. Why?" Li Xiang gave him a pitiful look, then asked slowly, "Zhao Senior, you thought those vats were just like the ones back home, right? About this big." He even made a small gesture with his hands. A bad feeling welled up in Zhao Sen's chest. He nodded. Li Xiang let out a bitter laugh. "Then you're screwed. His vats are as big as this entire room. 10 vats of water. Bro, keep your sweet potatoes. Don't give them to me. If you're lucky, you'll eat once every 4 or 5 days. All the wild fruit spots in the mountains are already taken by the older guys. Only they get to pick. As for me, I'll stick to my wild fruit tomorrow." With that, he set the leftover sweet potatoes back on the table, sighed heavily, and lay back down. A surge of anger rose in Zhao Sen's chest. But then he thought of his parents' eyes, full of hope when they sent him off. He forced the fire down, clenched his teeth, and with a stomach full of frustration, drifted into sleep. Before dawn the next day, Zhao Sun was already awake. Li Xiang was still snoring loudly, but Zhao Sun slipped into his gray robe and hurried toward the chores office. By the time he arrived, the sun was just peeking over the eastern horizon. The yellow-robed youth pushed open the door, shot Zhao Sun a sideways glance, and sneered in a mocking tone. "Well, at least you're on time. Go inside, grab a bucket, head out the east gate. There's a spring in mountains, fetch water from there." And with that, he ignored Zhao Sun completely, sat cross-legged on the ground, and began cultivating. Thin white wisps rose from his nose like twin little dragons curling in the morning light. Zhao Sun couldn't help feeling a pang of envy. He stepped into the room, and sure enough, behind the door stood 10 massive vats. He let out a bitter smile, grabbed 2 buckets, and made his way toward the east gate. The spring wasn't close. After a long walk, he finally reached it. The scenery was breathtaking, the sound of rushing water, pure and refreshing, like nature's own melody. But Zhao Sun didn't dare linger. He filled his buckets and trudged back up the mountain. By the time dusk fell, he had barely filled 1 vat. If not for the sweet potatoes he ate at noon, he wouldn't have had the strength to continue. Even so, his legs and arms were completely numb, every step burning with pain. After a moment of hesitation, he carried half a bucket of water to a secluded spot. Glancing around carefully to make sure no one was watching, he pulled a stone bead from his chest and dropped it into the water. He swirled it gently, then fished it out and tucked it safely away. Taking a deep gulp of the water, warmth spread through his stomach. The soreness in his muscles slowly melted away. Not as miraculous as the dew he once tried, but enough. Excitement surged in his chest. He touched the spot where the stone bead rested against him, swearing silently. "No one must ever know I have this treasure." He finished the bucket, his body refreshed, and with renewed strength, went straight back to hauling water. That day, Zhao Sun worked himself to the bone, managing to fill 1.5 vats. He secretly drank half a bucket of spring water, infused with his mysterious stone bead. To avoid suspicion, he forced himself to look completely worn out as he dragged his body back to his quarters. Not long after, Li Xiang stumbled in, his face showing the same exhaustion. They chatted briefly. Then, after hesitating for a long while, Li Xiang finally asked for 2 pieces of sweet potato. He ate them quickly, then collapsed onto his bed, snoring in seconds. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, Zhao Sun had already spent a month in Penlai Pavilion. During this time, he learned more about Li Xiang's life. Li Xiang's chore was chopping wood. He had to cut enough each day just to earn a meal. He'd been at it for 3 years now. In the early days, he could only eat once every 3 or 4 days, surviving on nothing but water. Now, after years of hardship, he had improved enough to earn a meal every 2 days. According to him, registered disciples had to endure 10 years of chores. Only if they could manage 3 full meals a day, without fail, would they be taught the most basic immortal techniques. But inner disciples lived a different life altogether. Each had a master, no chores, private rooms, and their sole duty was to cultivate. And then there were the pupil servants, those caught between inner disciples and registered ones. The titles sounded lofty, but in truth, they were nothing more than attendants, servants. They didn't need to do heavy chores and were allowed to practice some low-level techniques. But their talent was usually mediocre. Most would remain servants for life, never achieving much. As for talent, Zhao Sun only learned the truth through Li Xiang. It was all about spiritual roots. Everyone had some, but the key was how much. With abundant roots, a cultivation method could be mastered in a single year. With weak roots, the same technique might take 10 years or even 100. Life was short. Those with poor aptitude often never achieved anything significant in their entire lives. And that was why cultivation sects placed talent above all else when taking disciples. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my video, please leave a comment, give it a like, and share it with others. Your support gives me even more motivation.